Right, we're going to start a little early today. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris. This is my channel. We love comics. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch one of my videos. I know I don't make as many as I used to. Hopefully one day that will change, going through some scenarios that I have to take care of. You guys understand, and some of you are still showing up and watching my videos, so that means a lot. I have a lot of stuff that I got to take care of, but, you know, life does that sometimes, and you could get knocked down, but it's not the matter of getting knocked down, it's a matter of getting back up. So for me, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So I have 4 books that I send each and every month. I've been doing it for 3.5 to 4 years now, getting close to 4 years now, where I send 4 books a month to PGX. Whether you use them or not, I leave that up to you. But if you want to use PGX, if you go to the description of this or any video, you will see a couple of discount coupons and codes that you can use. One of them is, if you send 10 books or more to get graded, you can use the code We Love Comics Free Press, and they will press one of them for free. To me, I think that's a good deal. And thanks to Daniel Patterson, the owner of PGX, who listens to my ideas. They are the only of the 3 major companies where you could put the grader's notes directly on the back of the slab. It's a $5 charge per book if you want to do it. Obviously, if you want them just the list for free, you can email them and they'll email them to you for free. But I like them on the back of the slabs. It just makes it a lot easier for people, especially if you're going to sell them, to know what could be potentially wrong with the book. So, obviously, I know that CGC is number 1, CBS is number 2, CBCS is number 2, PGX is number 3, but it always depends on why you're getting your books graded. PGX is the cheapest of the 3. They tend to get the books back quicker, which means you don't have to spend extra money for faster turnarounds. They have in-house pressings and dry cleanings and signature verification. So those are good reasons to give them a try if you haven't. But like I said, what you do with your books is up to you. I'm not here to tell you who to use. I'm just showing you what I do, and it will either resonate with you or it will not. So that's up to you. All right, so these are the 4 books that I am sending out to get graded. I always tell you the significance of these books, how much I paid for them, and what I'm assuming the grades are. Now, keep in mind, when I'm talking about grades, I'm talking about after they get pressed and dry cleaned. So they might not look as good as when I predict a grade, but like I said, pressings and dry cleanings, I'm trying to estimate what it will be at that point. So I tend to be pretty spot on. I'm usually, if I'm off, I'm usually off by about half a grade. So I'm actually getting pretty good at this. Newer books are a little bit harder for me as far as higher grade books, but lower grade books, I'm pretty much spot on. Usually I'm almost exact, or like I said, within a half a grade. So that doesn't guarantee that I'm going to do it every time. So keep in mind, I am not a professional grader, and I'm giving my best estimates. And we'll see what happens in about a month, month and a half. That's usually about the general turnaround. Full disclosure, I do not get paid by PGX to do this. I am under no contracts. I am under no obligation to ever say anything unless I believe it or have experienced it. But I am allowed to send 4 books in every month for free to get them pressed, dry clean, graded, and everything. It helps them out by you guys clicking on the links and getting those discount codes, and helps me out by saving some money on getting some books graded. So with that being said, let me put on the video camera. I'd like to welcome the 6 people that are here. I know I don't get the views that I used to, but hey, you know what? 6 people is better than no people. So of the 6, now 7, 1 person has hit the like button, so thank you for that. Let me put on the video camera. One of these I've never sent to get graded before, but I know this book, it's just a matter of not if, but when this particular character ends up in the MCU. I'm sure that's another 2 to 4 years from now that's going to happen, but the good time is to get these things done before that time, so you're not spending a lot of money. So regardless of what the grade of this first book is going to be, the price I paid for it, I'm not worried about it, because I always tell people, get books early. They're not like milk. They do not expire. So, unless, of course, you don't, take care of them properly. So, it's always better to get them years before and spend 10 to 20 times less than to wait until there's an announcement and then, spend so much more money and get a lesser quality book. Now, obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but when it comes to the character on this one, it's a 99.999% slam dunk that this character's coming. I mean, it should be 100%, but nothing in life is guaranteed but death and taxes, and hopefully one day we'll all stop the second one. Well, and the first one, that would be nice. So, let's get the video camera ready to go. We got Joey the Stuntmaster here. We got Terry Vaughn here. He says, how are you? And I say, thank you so much. Joey says, just curious, do you send out the books to PGX East or the original? I go to the original location. The East one only does a certain type of books, I believe. If I get any more information on that, I will let you know. But I send them to the original one. I have no problems with that. Noah Burke is here. He says, hope you are well. Things are interesting, but I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I've actually been eating a lot better. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink soda. I'm becoming more of a vegetarian. I've been eating a lot of salad lately, getting in a little bit better shape. And things are going well, knock on wood. We'll see what happens, but thank you for that. And Michael P. is also here as well. All right, so this first one, like I said, and Gary is here as well. This one I've never sent to get graded before. So this is a book you should absolutely get, especially if you cannot afford, which many people cannot, even a low-grade version of Fantastic Four #5, which is the first appearance of Doctor Doom. This is Marvel Superheroes Presents Doctor Doom, issue number 20. I did not pay 25 cents for it, but this is the first solo Doctor Doom story. So, eventually, like I said, this character, Doctor Doom, is going to end up in the MCU. They're not going to utilize him right away, but to me, it would be a no-brainer. Now, I have Fantastic Four #5 in a 2.0. I bought it a couple years ago, and I was telling people to get that book, but that's getting pretty expensive now. So this is definitely a book to consider if you do not have it. Now, of course, this is a lower grade book, but I only paid $30.50 for this book. So I'm not worried about it because, like I say, do not base any investment on where the price was or where the price is. Base it on where it's going. And I'll ask you, do you think this book has the potential to A, go down, B, stay the same, or C, quadruple in price when Doctor Doom gets announced in the MCU? Now, like I said, this may be 3, 4, 5 years from now, especially what's going on in the world. There's a lot of delays and stuff, but he's coming, and that's just going to be so much more of an advantage to get it now, especially when people are not thinking about this book, and then waiting later and probably spending 3, 4, 5 times what you could have. Be smart when it comes to investing. Most people will say, well, I want to wait until you see what happens. Well, if you wait and see what happens, you're spending more money. If you buy it now or bought it already, you still have to wait that same amount of time. But like I said, this book, unless you put it in a fireplace, is not going to go bad. You're just spending less money so you can get more of them. I know I have a couple more of these, maybe 2 or 3 of them, still actually in the some of these boxes that I have yet to unbox. I just got to find them because I literally have probably 100 unopened boxes easily, that some of them dating all the way back when I lived in New York years ago. So I'll have to find them. But I got this one. I'm predicting this one is about a 3.0 to a 4.0. It does have a minor tear over there. It's got some color break increases here. There is a little what they call dog ear here, but that can be fixed and pressed. It is intact. Pressing and dry cleaning will absolutely help this book. And it's got about off-white pages. But this is absolutely a book I highly recommend getting, because you could still get it fairly cheap. Now, it's not a dollar book, and you're most likely not going to spend $30 like I did. But like I said, I bought this about 3 or 4 years ago because I knew what was coming. So, with that being said, next book. Speaking of Three of these four are all based on characters that are still coming, that have not arrived yet. So that's the ones you want to invest in, not the ones that already happened. Unless you could find super deals, like for example with Black Widow. You may want to hold off on her books a little bit, let it cool down since her last movie, which did not do so well, and I have not seen it. I don't want to see it. But books like that will go down. But the funny part is, when the price goes down, most people don't want them anyway. Because people base emotions on their investments, which is totally the opposite of what you want to do. That's why many people do not buy it when it's low, because nobody wants a book or a investment then. When do they most likely buy things? When everybody's talking about it and the price is starting to skyrocket. That is a mistake, and unless you just got in at that moment, you really shouldn't be doing it. Alright, so, next book. This, of course, I have several copies of this. I was fortunate enough to have two of these the day it came out. This, of course, is New Mutants 98. Make sure that that is there, or the barcode. There are the reprints of this book that look almost identical. One of the big tells is right here. The price will be, I think, $3.99, but you could see the original price is $1. But there are people that used to sell these on eBay, the reprints, and try and sell them as first prints. And many people fell for it. So be careful. One of the things I say when it comes to any investments, make sure you know what you're doing. You know, if you rely on other people, you better hope they're right. And even if they're mostly right, sometimes they can make mistakes. Do your own due diligence and make sure you know what you're investing in. Otherwise, you should not be investing. But this, of course, is the first appearance of Deadpool. Again, another character that's going to end up in the MCU. Now, this book kind of goes up and down through the months. But again, I'm basing this on long-term, where it's headed. I'm not worried about where the price is now, because like I said, many of these I bought years ago. So I'm not worried about the price, even though this is not going to be a 9.8. But he's coming to the MCU. Once that happens, the books are all of a sudden going to skyrocket, because all the people that waited are now going to have to spend so much more money. To me, that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand why people do it. Obviously, if you don't have the money, that's a good reason why you didn't get it. Or if you literally just find out about comics the day his character comes out, there's not much you can do. But if there are people that have been, especially here, watching this channel, and you had years of opportunity and you passed up on it, just be careful. But this book has not reached its max yet. So this book is expensive, but you ain't seen nothing yet. So keep that in mind with this book and all the others that I'm showing, because I always send in key books that have some kind of significance when I send books to get graded. Obviously, people can have other reasons to get books graded, for nostalgia, or they just like it slabbed to protect it, or they think it looks very good to display on the wall. Whatever reason you have, no wrong way. So this book, I only paid $159.30 for this book. Again, it's not a 9.8. It does have a lot of wrinkles on the back. By a lot, I mean like 6 or 7 small ones along the spine, but not major. Now, none of them break color, so pressing is absolutely going to be a necessity for this book, so it will increase the grade. Now, I doubt it's going to get a 9.8, so I'm not even going to say that, but you never know. It depends on how good the pressing can get out those bends and folds on the back. But like I said, none of them break color, and I really don't see... There might be one... I'm not sure if that's part of the artwork or one little, like, pin of a color break. But I'm going to say between a 9.0 and a 9.4. Pressing, like I said, could be higher. We'll find out. But again, for $159, where this book is headed, I'm not worried about, you know, what the grade is, even if it's a 9.0. Obviously, I'd like to get the highest grade possible, but I want a grade that fits what the book is. That's why you don't see me just getting all 9.8s all the time. I want it to be earned, not just given to me. Alright, next up, absolutely another book that has grown in price, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Get this book before it gets out of reach. I bought these years ago. This is my last ungraded copy. I think I have at least 2 or 3 others of this book. This, of course, is Avengers number 8. I had one of these I bought when I was a kid because I just like the cover of this book, but it was one of my books that got stolen years ago, back in the days. But I was able to recover several of these books. This obviously has been in the Netflix show with the Loki Netflix show, but they haven't shown him in costume yet, and they're basically setting him up. So yes, that did help to raise the price, but it's going to get even more expensive once he is actually in the movies, and he's not going to be a one-and-done villain. I do not believe they're going to work him up with all of this multiverse stuff for him to just die in the first movie he's in. I think this character may be one that you see over and over again that will create more popularity. Of course, if he's a likable character and a likable villain. I mean, is he on Thanos' level? I don't think so, but you never know. But this is absolutely still a book that has room to grow. This one's in pretty good condition. Again, it has a couple of color-breaking lines right here at the bottom, but not major amounts or anything like that. And it's only near the first inch. The book is intact. There's some dirt, so a dry cleaning and a pressing will absolutely help this book. I only paid $75 for this book. So it could come back a 0.5 and I'll do well, but this is definitely not a 0.5 book. This is somewhere around the middle. I think this book is about a 4.0 to a 5.0. Again, keeping in mind I'm talking about after a pressing and dry cleaning, because this book, absolutely with the white cover, is going to need a little bit of a dry cleaning on it. It's not going to get out everything, but I don't see any major stains or anything. It's got some wrinkling, but nothing major that breaks color. So this is a decent mid-grade book, but again, for $75, I'm not going to complain about it, no matter what the grade is. And I'm going to say it's about off-white pages. And I don't know if I said it with the other one, New Mutants 98. Obviously, that's white pages on that one. All right, last but not least, this one, I think the best I've gotten on this is a 9.6. This is definitely not going to get a 9.8. I'm not sure if I got one of them that's a 9.8. I don't think so. I think both of them are 9.6. Maybe one of them is a 9.2 or something like that. I have 3 or 4 of these, but I've always gotten these for decent prices because I knew this character is going to continue to keep going up. And yes, this character has already been in a movie. He's been in a couple of movies, but I doubt this character's done and just going to continue their popularity. So this is still a book that has plenty of room to grow. I was telling people for years, this will eventually be a modern age Grail. It's not there yet, but it's definitely in a high-key status at this point. Get this book. Don't overpay for it. Always find and ask and wait for deals. But this, of course, is Batman Adventures 12. This, of course, is the first print. I paid $250 for this book because, like I said, I bought these years ago. Now, I didn't buy them 5-10 years ago. When I'm talking years ago, I'm talking like between 2017 and 2019. So, technically years ago, but not, you know, I didn't buy it back in 1995 or anything like that, which I don't think this book came out back then, so probably why I wouldn't have bought it then anyway. But this, obviously, first appearance of Harley Quinn. Now, obviously, there are other books that are non-canon, like the cassette tape one, but this is her first actual comic book appearance. And then, of course, you have her other appearance with the image of the Joker, the Alex Ross painted one. Love that cover. But for $250, I'm not going to complain. Just like the New Mutants 98, it has probably 6 or 7 little non-color breaking bends on the back, so pressings can fix that. Other than that, this book looks pretty darn good. It does have a little bit of a color rub at the top, very tip. You probably won't even be able to see it. So I don't know if a pressing gets that out. If it's a color rub, it can't get it out. So this is not a 9.8, but again, for $250, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to say it's roughly between a 9.0 and a 9.4. We'll see what the pressing does with, of course, white pages. So again, another book absolutely worth getting. Supa says, should I sell now? I leave that up to you. I tell people when to buy stuff or when they should buy stuff, but I never recommend or never tell people when to sell. The reason being is, even if it's at a high point, if you sell it and then all of a sudden it goes up another $100, then you're not going to be too thrilled with me. The best advice I can give on selling a book is, one, do you need money for it? Are you desperate for money or anything? Or are you going to use it to turn around and buy something that you wanted to get? Then maybe you might want to consider it. If you're just doing it because, you think now's the right time, be careful, because a lot of, like I said, 3 of the 4 of the books that I've shown, they have not even had their major debuts yet in the MCU. Like I said, this character has had a couple of movies, but she's going to continue to go on, and as this book ages, they don't print this anymore, so there's going to be people who lose them. There might be, God forbid, a fire, and they get destroyed, they get thrown out, they can get damaged, you never know. So these books, I really think this book in another 10 to 20 years is going to be a modern age grail. Maybe less time than that, but as far as selling a book or any investment, the best advice I can give is make sure you do your research, see how much you paid for it, ask yourself the reasons why you're selling it, and then I would say trust your instincts. If you think a book has reached a peak and you could sell it at the peak, knowing that it might dip again and buy it back for a cheaper price and then use that money for either another book or some other purchase or just to save, then hey, it might be worth it. One of the things I also tell people is have multiple copies. Like I said, I have at least 3, if not 4 of these books, maybe 5. I think I have 3 or 4. But if you have multiple copies, then it's not as bad if you have to sell one because you still have them. You can also remember, if you have multiple copies, you can trade some of your multiple copies with somebody, maybe to get a book you don't have. There's always ways. But when it comes to selling, the best advice I can give is trust your own instincts after you've done all of your research and realize the reasons why you want to sell. It's got, if you have no choice because you have a bill that's going to be paid and you're going to, have your house foreclosed, your house and your family is more important than any investment. So if you have to even take a loss to be able to do something like that, sometimes you got to do that. When I moved here to Florida, I sold a lot of books to get here. Some of them I did not want to sell. Like one of them I sold was my Daredevil #1 6.0. I got a decent amount at the time for that book, but that book is 3, 4, 5 times what it's worth now. There are a couple of books I sold, like one of them I did not want to sell, but I promised somebody I would, and I'm kicking myself for selling it. There's 2 books that I'm kicking myself for selling, but it helped me at the time. So yes, I could have made 3, 4, 5 times the amount now, but at the time, I needed the money, and it helped me. So if it can help you, then it might be worth it. If you're not sure what you're doing, then should you even be investing? Now, I'm not talking about one particular person, I'm talking about everybody. So you got to know what you're doing. So these books all have potential. We have the first solo story of Doctor Doom. Again, this is Marvel Superheroes Presents Doctor Doom #20. I paid $30.50 for this book. I'm going to make money on this regardless of the grade, because when Doctor Doom comes out, there's going to be such a frenzy for his books, and his first appearance is going to be way, way overpriced, even at a coverless version, that books like this people are going to gravitate to. So get it now. Next up, again, New Mutants 98. I only paid $159.30 for this book. Yes, it's not a 9.8. It may, you never know with the pressings, but even in the high 9s or mid 9s, I'm going to still be happy for the price of $159.30. Deadpool is going to end up in the MCU. He's not a one-and-done character. He's going to continue to grow. He, like Harley Quinn, is going to be another modern-age grail. Yes, there are dozens and 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 dozens of copies of that book. But if you have 1 million copies of a book, and you have 2 million people that want those 1 million copies, well, you now have a 1 million copy deficit, which means 1 million people that want that book and are going to do everything to buy it are now going to have to pay more and more. Supply and demand. One of the biggest mistakes I hear from people that are even experienced comic collectors is they constantly make this scenario of, well, be careful of this certain book because there's a high print run. high print runs have nothing to do with the value of a book if it is in demand. If there is a higher demand than there is a supply, it goes up. I'll give you a prime example that everybody will know about. In the past, about a year and a half ago, how much were people spending for rolls of toilet paper? Now, rolls of toilet paper, for a long time, nobody wanted to rush to the store to get it unless you didn't have any and you really needed it. But you weren't paying through the nose. But because the fact is because of this whole situation in the world happened, and they were, I think, manufacturing a lower supply to create a higher demand, which creates a panic, which creates more money for them. But regardless of whether that was pure coincidence or pure profit driven, it created such a demand that there were people on eBay buying a 40-pack of toilet paper for $1,000. So it does not matter how much of something there is. If there is more people desiring it than there are of that item available, the price is going to skyrocket. So, yes, there are tens of thousands of this book, but especially when the movie comes out, there's going to be a lot of people wanting these books. That creates a demand that will increase the price. I've seen so many experienced comic book collectors, people that have been collecting for years, trying to tell people stay away from certain books because they're overprinted. I mean, give you a prime example. Amazing Fantasy 15 is not a rare book. It actually has a lot of copies, and yet good luck trying to find a 0.5 of that book under 10 grand. Amazing Spider-Man number 300 has millions of copies. Not a cheap book. So, again, if you don't research and you don't know what you're doing, and you base it all on emotions or just following the herd, you are usually going to be led to slaughter. So be very careful who you attach your wagon to. Avengers number 8. Paid $75 for this book. Absolutely a book that is going to continue to rise. Now, obviously, because of a villain, he's not going to do as well as a hero. But, again, they're really building up the next phase towards this character. So I do not believe he's going to be one and done. That's going to continue to increase the value. So, again, wait and buy deals. And last but not least, I showed this one already. Batman Adventures 12. I definitely see this character continuing to grow. And again, when it comes to high print runs, that's why you want to try and get the highest grades possible. Because, like, for example, Amazing Spider-Man 300. Let's just say, for argument's sake, there are 3 million of those books left in existence. How many of them are a 9.8 and a 9.6? Many of them are going to be 5.0s. Because if you look at that book, because of the black back of that book, and how many people read that book, because for decades that book was worthless, a lot of them are damaged. Buy what you can afford, and low grade is better than no grade, but if you can afford a higher grade book, you have a better chance. Like, for example, I believe there's only one Amazing Spider-Man 300 9.9. That book is going to continue to rise in price. Now, obviously, somebody may overpay for it, and no one else will match that price, so you got to be careful. But, like I said, you do your research, you'll be fine. So those are the 4 books. Let me know what you think about them. Let me know if you have any of them, if you agree or disagree with what I say. Because, like I said, you don't have to agree with everything I say. And if you disagree, leave a nice, constructive comment in the comment section explaining your side, and maybe we'll be educated or change our views. That's why, like I say all the time, yes, this is sponsored by PGX. And again, look in the description of this video for all the discount codes that I provide if you want to use them. You may not have to like PGX. You may not use them. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I am saying this is the deal I have with them. I have no contract signed, so I'm under no obligation to say anything other than what I have experienced. And I will say bad things if bad things happen. I do not edit my videos. That's why even when I get the books back from being graded, I always have and always will do them live. So there are no cut-ups. There is no trickery. There is no, oh, they took it off camera. Did they do something to the book, or did they switch it out when they paused the video? I do it live so you can get your own experience. So make your own judgments. Do things based on what your experiences are. Because I've shown on several occasions books that were sent to CGC that were already signed, came back green labels because they do not do signature verification. And I bought those books, key books, for at least half of what they were worth at the time I bought them, because I got them reslabbed. For example, this book, my Invincible #1, signed by Robert Kirkman. I paid $459 for this book when it was a $1,000 book. It was graded a CGC 9.8, but it was a green label. So at the time it was worth about $1,000. I paid $459, sent it to PGX, who still gave me the 9.8, which is what it was, because I sent the CGC label with this book, and they gave the signature verification. So you don't think I could sell that book for $500? Yes, PGX may sell a little less, but it also depends on what you pay for it. The person had it as a CGC, and yet when it was valued at $1,000, and this was before the TV show came out, so it was very popular because it was getting close to coming out, I paid half of what it was worth because somebody sent it to the wrong company, because they were probably, like most people, they're programmed by repetition that say everybody says CGC is #1. They may be #1, but they may not be #1 for your needs. So do not think in the herd mentality. You see, this world, the reason why this world is so crazy is 99% of the people follow what they're told without question and wonder why they usually end up poorer, less free, more unhappy, more scared. People want to make money off of you. I don't make money off of you. I do not profit whether you sell a book and make a ton of money, whether you buy a book and save a lot of money, whether you send it to grandma's grading company. It doesn't affect me. What I do here is tell you my honest opinion, my non-biased viewpoint. I never say anything that I am ever obligated to say. People may not like me, they may not agree with my point of view, but at least they can respect the fact that nothing is motivating me to say something so I get maybe in the good graces with CGC or PGX or CBCS or Marvel or DC. I say it because I believe it. Now, that may differ from your point of view, but I will not edit a video, I will not cut it up, I will not give misinformation, I will not take a book out of a slab, put something else in, and pretend that a company cheated me. That's absolutely dishonest and a person that lacks integrity. So I want you to be full of integrity, which means never be afraid to stand up for what you believe in, even if it's the opposite of what everybody else thinks. Because I've said it 100 times before, and I'll say it again. The world was convinced that the world was flat. So what the heck do the masses know? The masses do not research. The masses do not question authority. The masses just regurgitate what they're told. And if you look throughout history, the very few are the ones that always thrive over the very many, because the very few are the ones that don't do what the masses do. So if you want to get ahead in life, do the opposite of what the masses are doing and saying. Because the masses do not know what they're talking about most of the time. They're just regurgitating what somebody else said and wondering why they're never where they want to be. Like I said, I'm down for the past 6 months or so. I've been down, but I'm not out. And I will not stay down forever. Sometimes when you have a hole that's dug, it's going to take some challenging hard work to get out of it. But I will. And you can too. So things like this will help me in my future. And because I knew in my past that it was a smart idea to get these investments, yes, I had to sit on them for a while, and yes, I still have to sit on these for a little while longer, even though I could sell them all for a profit right now. It would be silly for me to sell them now when later on they're going to be worth even more. But again, if you're doing it because you're going to lose your house, what would you rather have, a house or a comic book? Do what you got to do. All right, so I'm rambling and ranting enough. Some of you appreciate that. Some of you are probably sick of it. Some of you will never hear it, and that's okay. I want to thank the 22 people that are currently watching. 13 of you were kind enough to hit the like button. Let's do today's surprise subscriber shout-outs. I'm going to go with Big Debo72. And he says, do you collect any pre-code horror stuff? Never into horror stuff. I wasn't even ever into horror movies. Because to me, when I went to the movies, if I wanted to see death, I could just turn on the news. To me, I loved comedies and sci-fis, things that made you feel good, things that made you look up into the skies and wonder what if. To watch somebody murder somebody, to me, is not entertainment. But, again, to each their own. So, the good thing about me not collecting horror comics is I'm one less person you would have to compete with. Now, I have not bought a comic book at all. I've not bought a single comic book since July. But back in the days when I was doing my major collecting and everything, yeah, you would have probably been outbid by me, because I actually have a video teaching people how to win on eBay, and I did it all the time. If I didn't win, it was because I was not willing to overspend on a book. I do not base any investment on emotion. If you are too excited about a win and too disappointed about a loss, first of all, you don't lose on something unless you sell it. So let's say I spent $30 on this book, and all of a sudden it drops down to $20. People say, oh, you lost $10. Well, I still own it. So how did I lose anything if I didn't sell it? So let's say 5 years later, it goes from 20 to 500. Well, if I would have sold it, like most people would say, oh, I got to cut my losses, and they rush to judgment at that moment and say, well, I paid 30, it dropped down to 20, oh my God, I don't want it to go further, so let's cut my losses. And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, they see it as $300, $400, $500 book, they're going to kick themselves in the pants. Now, there are no guarantees that is going to happen, but when it comes to investments, it goes up and down. When the stock market crashed in the late 1920s that caused the Great Depression, there were more millionaires that came out of that stock market crash than any other time in American history. You know why? There were plenty of people that bought when everybody else was selling. The ones that were smart sold at the top, watched it crash, and while everybody's trying to get rid of it, they were buying at the bottom because they knew it was going to go back up again. Because unless a company goes out of business, you're not going to lose any money unless you sell. Doesn't matter if Marvel or DC goes out of business. This book is going to be having some kind of value unless you destroy it. So be smart. If you are if you're too excited when you win and you're too depressed when you lose, you should not be investing in anything. And you do not lose out until you sell something. So yes, if this book went to I bought it at 30. If it dropped down at 20, it would be stupid of me to sell it at 20. I'll hold on to it and wait and see. But that's not the case with this book. I'm just using it as an example. A good example is this book, because it goes up and down all the time. This book is going to go up. When it goes down, that is what's called in the collecting world of investing a buying opportunity. Don't be like 90% of the people who will say, oh, the book is dipping, so I'm not going to touch it because that means it's not valuable. Hello, McFly, those are the ones that always fail. It's like playing blackjack. I used to teach blackjack, and I used to teach people that it's supposed to be everybody at the table versus the dealer. And if everybody plays the right way, they will win more times than they will lose. Now, the problem is you only need one person to screw that up. And they'll say, well, I don't want to play like the way everybody else is. I just want to win for me. The problem is, even if you win, you're going to lose more often. So if you do the wrong thing at blackjack, every now and then you're going to win. But you're going to lose more times than you're going to win. And on the other end of the spectrum, you could be doing everything right, playing everything the way it's supposed to be. That doesn't guarantee you're going to win every time. You are going to lose sometimes. But you will win more than you will lose. So when it comes to investing, there are going to be many people that just take the chance, didn't research anything, just listened to what everybody said, bought a book, and end up saying a year later, wow, I turned around and doubled my money. That didn't make you a good investor, it made you a lucky investor. Because if you profit off of one book, but lose on 500 books, Well, the losses are going to outweigh your one gain. So you didn't really win. But what do most people do on YouTube? They don't post or talk about their losses. They only post the wins. So you'll look at their channel or their video and say, wow, that person's always winning. Because that's what they want you to see. They want that facade. And that is not a wagon you want to hitch your horse to. End of rant. Thank you very much. We're also going to pick a second surprise subscriber shout out. We're going to go Terry Vaughn, who says, hey Chris, will you be making videos more often? I missed them. Are you still doing videos on Southside Comics? Unfortunately, I lost the sponsorship of Southside Comics. I got really sick at one point. Financially, I had a lot of economic problems going on. I'm not going to get into the major depths of it. But YouTube was also blocking my channel because I started talking about some truth kind of stuff. And if you know about the world, if you speak about truth, they kind of block you. So eventually I lost the Southside sponsorship. Now I still have their links because I have nothing bad to say. And that's what I'm talking about. I don't get free books from them anymore. I don't have the sponsorship anymore. I lost it. Matter of fact, he never ended it. It just stopped. So he never said thank you. Never said goodbye, never said this will be the last one. Just all of a sudden, I never heard from him again. And that's fine. I have no ill will. The links for the discount codes are still there. I don't know if he still accepts them. I'm sure he does. But I'm going to keep promoting them because, like I said, he did nothing but good to me. And again, because I didn't sign any contract, I'm under no obligation to say anything. I say it because I believed it. Whether you believe it or experience that, that's up to you. So, I'm going to try and make videos when I can, but it's hard, especially when I have 10,000, close to 10,000 subscribers and 18 people are watching. It's not much of a motivator, but I still do it because the very few that are watching, I care about. But it is kind of frustrating when you have 10,000 subscribers and not even 0.5% of them are watching. That's my fault. It's YouTube's fault. It's whatever the world's going on fault, but most of it lies on me. I'll try and do what I can, but I appreciate you all being here. If more and more people start watching the videos again, it might motivate me to, make videos. Most people don't comment anymore, but I don't do it for that anyway. I've never done that. I make videos because I feel like I want to do them. So we'll see what happens. Thank you to those that care enough. The two that were the surprise subscriber shout-outs, one of the benefits of that is, and I don't know how much of a benefit it is anymore because most people don't watch, but you could leave your link to your video or your channel in the comment section. If you don't have a video channel where you make videos, if you'd rather send the link to one of your social networks, you could do that. Or if you sell anything on Etsy or Amazon or eBay and you want to share a link, you could do that. Just keep in mind, I have to verify the link first. I don't want anything to be a link to something like a porn site. So I always verify any link before it shows up. So if you post a link, it will not show up right away because I have to approve it. Which means if you are browsing the comment section, and I hope you do, if you see a link, go. That means it's been approved and it will take you somewhere appropriate, not anywhere inappropriate. So maybe give somebody a shout out or give somebody a like or a subscription or check out what they have to sell. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you appreciate my rambles. It's been a little while, but as they say, better late than never. I can't wait to get these back. My next comics that I sent out should be coming in probably about 3 weeks because they said there was a delay in their new cases. So they got to wait for new cases, and I don't mind waiting. Shout out to PGX. Go give them a try if you haven't used them. Use the discount code We Love Comics Free Press. If you send 10 or more, you'll get one pressed for free. And also, if you want to use Greatest Notes and place them on the back of the book, like you see here, $5 per book. Use the code We Love Comics, Greatest Notes, and you can have them on the back of the slab, which I absolutely love. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and do not forget, it is not you, it is not I, it is We Love Comics. And how are the kittens? They're all growing up. I take care of 3 cats inside, all were strays, and 12 cats outside, all are strays, and I feed them very well. I actually anytime I make any little money, instead of buying myself anything like a comic book, which, like I said, I haven't bought a comic book. I haven't bought a single comic book since mid-July. Anytime I have any extra money, I buy them cat food. I make sure they are always taken care of. It's one of the few joys I have these days. 3 times a day, I go outside and feed them. Now, I'm not like some people that just put the food out and leave. I stay out there. I make sure each one gets the food that they like. I hang out with them until they're done. A lot of them, even though they're quote-unquote feral cats, will allow me to hold them and pick them up. When I come home for the few nights I do have left working, when I come home, 2 or 3 of them, I'll sit out on the driveway in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, and a couple of the cats will just come out from wherever they are and just hang out with me purring. So that's my joy in life. Do something that brings you joy, and even when you're going through hardships or even when things are not going your way, you will still be content. You don't have to be wealthy to be content. You don't have to have millions of friends to be content. You just have to be happy with who you are and what you're all about. So the good thing is, with me starting to eat better, with the world situation hopefully slowly starting to get towards any form of normalcy, things can only look up. So that's the good thing sometimes, hitting rock bottom, which I didn't hit rock bottom, but I got lower. When you hit those lower heights, sometimes the only way you can go is go up. So look up at the stars, use motivation. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So thank you to those that care. I really appreciate all the kindness. If anybody ever wanted to support my channel, obviously you don't have to. I think I have maybe one Patreon account or something like that. But if you want to support my channel, look in the description. I do accept like Cash App and stuff like that. I do have a PayPal account. So if you ever want to do anything with that, you can. Patreon, like I said, and the good thing is on Patreon, there's no exclusive materials. I don't want anybody to think they have to spend money to get my information. It drives me crazy when other YouTube channels say, well, I have a Patreon, and if you join my Patreon and give me money every month, you will get exclusive content. To me, that is absolutely unfair to do to somebody. Yes, I could use the money, but I will never put exclusive content that you have to pay for to see. Every video I've ever done is here free for you to watch. Whether you learn something from it, that's up to you to find out. Hopefully you will. But if somebody ever wanted to join my Patreon, it was because they just want to help support me and my channel. Not because they had to give me money to get something. I would never do that to anybody. Now, others, obviously, they can do it. I don't agree with it, but that's just my opinion. So if you do it, doesn't make you bad, doesn't make you evil. It just makes you different. And there's nothing wrong with that in this world. So, again, I'm going to end this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget, it is not you, it is not I, it is We Love Comics. Don't forget to give our shout-outs a shout-out, and thank you so much for everybody taking the time to participate in the live chat and viewing this video. Have a great day.